Hello everyone, my name is Sajid Parith. In this lecture, I will explain the methodology used in WAPOR to compute net primary production, which is a direct proxy to biomass production. The block diagram shown in this figure shows the major data components of WAPOR database. In this lecture, I will be focusing on net primary production and total biomass production and the methodology behind the computation of these two parameters. To give you an outline of the approach behind net primary production, it's based on a parametric model implementing the Monteith approach, which describes ecosystem productivity in response to solar radiation. The name of the model is CFIX, and it simulates carbon exchange using multiple data sets, mainly driven by temperature, radiation, and fraction of absorbed photosynthetically active radiation, otherwise called FAPR. Before we get into the details of methodology used for computing net primary production, let us have a look into important definitions describing different carbon fluxes between ecosystem and the atmosphere. The schematic diagram in this slide shows different carbon fluxes in the ecosystem. Net primary production, or NPP, is a fundamental characteristic of an ecosystem expressing the conversion of carbon dioxide into biomass driven by photosynthesis. Gross primary production, or GPP, represents the carbon uptake by the standing biomass due to photosynthesis. The NPP and GPP are related as shown in this simple equation. The remaining flux after removing autotrophic respiration from gross primary production represents net primary production. The autotrophic respiration is the total amount of organic carbon that is respired by plants per unit time. NPP represents the short-term carbon uptake in the scheme of carbon fluxes in the ecosystem. Net ecosystem production, or NEP, accounts for the contribution of soil respiration. That is, the reconversion to carbon dioxide of leaf and other litter by the soil. Finally, the net biome production is the net flux after removing the losses due to the disturbances and anthropogenic factors. The NEP represents the medium-term carbon uptake, and it's after the decomposition, and NPP represents the long-term carbon storage, which is a net flux after removal of losses due to disturbance and anthropogenic factors. WAPOR provides two related datasets, which are net primary production NPP and total biomass production TBP. Both products are provided at all three levels. NPP is provided at a decadal and monthly scale, while total biomass production is provided at annual scale for level 1 and at seasonal scale for level 2 and 3. The unit of NPP is gram carbon per meter square per day, while the unit of TBP is kilogram per hectare per day. The total biomass production is a sum of decadal dry matter productivity computed from NPP using the relation or the equation provided here. Dry matter productivity represents the overall growth rate or dry biomass increase of the vegetation. It's often expressed in kilograms of dry matter per hectare per day. DMP is directly related to NPP. And 1 gram carbon per meter square per day NPP represents 22.22 kilogram dry matter per hectare per day as per literature. And this relationship is used to convert NPP into total biomass production in WAPOR. Calculating NPP requires daily input from weather data and solar radiation, as well as decadal inputs from FAPAR and soil moisture stress. The land cover is an indirect input as light use efficiency factor is land cover specific used in the WAPOR methodology. So the schematic diagram here represents the major inputs provided to compute NPP, which in turn are used to compute total biomass production. A soil moisture stress reduction factor, which will be explained in the coming slides, is incorporated to adjust for water stress in the net primary production product. The mathematical approach to compute decadal NPP is provided in this slide. The first equation represents the simplified equation to compute decadal NPP. Decadal NPP is computed by multiplying decadal FAPAR with soil moisture reduction factor, light use efficiency, which is based on land cover type, and NPP max, which represents the maximum obtainable NPP for the decade. The second equation shows how NPP max over a decade is computed, which is the average of daily NPP max over that particular decade. FAPAR, which is one of the major component in the computation of net primary production, is produced from satellite-derived vegetation index. In this case, normalized difference vegetation index derived from the near-infrared and red spectral reflectance bands of optical satellite data are used. The source satellite data used to compute NDVI depends on the WAPOR level product. In WAPOR, FAPAR is estimated using a direct relationship between NDVI and a global Copernicus FAPAR product. The relationship is based on a polynomial regression between NDVI and the global FAPAR, and the resulting relationship is provided as an equation in this slide. Another important component in the computation of net primary production is the soil moisture stress factor, or SM. The SM is computed based on relative soil moisture content, SE, using the formula given in this slide. The soil moisture stress factor is based on two variables. One is KSF, which is a tenacity factor ranging from 1 for drought sensitive plants to 3 for drought insensitive plants, and SC, which is the relative soil moisture content. The variable SC is computed based on the correlation between land surface temperature and vegetation cover over a trapezoidal model. The daily NPP max is computed based on the meteorological inputs. NPP max is computed as per the first equation provided in this slide. The total shortwave incoming radiation is multiplied with scaling factor SC from DMP to NPP and a group of epsilon factors representing the temperature and carbon dioxide effects on net primary production. The group of epsilon factors include 4 major factors representing the climatic and biophysical factors influencing net primary production. They are epsilon P, which is a fraction of photosynthetically absorbed radiation in the wavelength of 0.4 to 0.7 micrometer and is taken as a constant of 0.48 in the methodology. Epsilon T is a factor representing normalized temperature effect. Epsilon CO2 is a factor representing the normalized carbon dioxide fertilization effect. Epsilon AR is a factor representing the fraction kept after autotrophic respiration. The schematic diagram in this slide shows the detailed data process flow to compute decadal NPP from various input data sets and the intermediate data sets of NPP max daily and decadal NPP max, and finally the decadal NPP by multiplying FAPAR and soil moisture, stress factor, and light use efficiency into NPP max decadal. Some important points to be noted while using NPP data layer from WAPOR. The effects of several potentially important factors such as nutrient deficiencies, pests, and plant diseases are omitted in the calculation of the NPP. The quality of the NPP may also get hampered due to the presence of cloud cover or undetected cloud cover from the existing cloud mask. It can affect the representation of temporal variability because the NPP is heavily based on optical satellite data. The NDVI quality layer offered by WAPOR as a product give an indication on the quality of input satellite data. In turn, can also represent the quality of the net primary production data. Major references from which the methodology is derived for the NPP data layer in WAPOR are listed here for further reference. Thank you.